morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah. Lion's gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the land. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a ride. Savannah. Lion's gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the land. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah. Lions gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the land. Lions roaring in the morning sun, searching for a longer day. People feeling like the light has just come. We must never stop the way. Birds chirping and I hear my name, grasping into a life. Life is happy but it's so insane. We must merely make a start. Savannah, I'm coming home. Savannah, we'll never be alone. Savannah, the beauty of the world. Savannah, let's all take a walk. Savannah. Lions gonna come. The birds have just begun. We will always take a stand for the people, for the land. Let's go back to when we were young. For the animals we stand. Let's go back to when trees were swung. Kids across the
Hi everybody, I'm Danielle Downs. I'm just lightly misting the hair so that way I can detangle. Because you never really want to go in straight away when the hair is in its naturally curly state because there might be a couple of tangles. So as you can see, I pretty much go in just from the high point of the head and I start detangling from there and keeping everything straight out. So if they're longer, yes, it might flop over the head so you can part it. But seeing as how this mannequin is a little shorter, I'm gonna go in and just splay everything out in a perfect little kind of flattened out afro, I guess you could say. Now, if you like to section out, keep everything neat, have a roadmap, kind of like I do, then I'm just gonna section this into 4 quadrants, very basic. So going from the high point of the head, right behind the ear, for our first section, just clip that away. And then again, from the high point of the head, right down the middle. And now we've got our first little quadrant here. Just have the legs or the arms of it, however you refer to it, going up so that way it doesn't pop or that you lose control. Gator clips are another great thing, chopsticks also, so whatever your preference is. But basically you want to get the hair as secure as possible and just out of the way. And as I said, this is a very easy salon reality kind of highlighting technique. Personally, I love it because I can modify it to all different lengths. I can do as much or as little as I want depending on the head. So always make sure that you're going in, assessing the hair. If you have finer textures and you're using a weave, maybe not use a large weave. You can use a fine weave so that way it's a little bit more diffused around the head shape. I'm going in with Synchro Lift today. It's great because it's a potato-based lightning system that lifts up to 9 levels. What's wonderful for curly hair is the fact that with that potato starch, it's pretty much like a conditioning kind of effect. It's also not going to irritate if you're using this on the scalp, but mainly I chose it because it doesn't swell. Especially when I'm doing any of that hand painting, I don't have to worry about it bleeding onto other areas that I don't want it. When you're doing highlighting with this, you want to make sure that when you're doing the hand painted portion, you're weaving out a couple of sections. So that way it blurs the line a little bit. Say if somebody wants to blow out their hair and not wear it curly. And again, you can start wherever you want with this. If you want to start near the ear and work that way, you can. I usually like to start right in the part because that's what this person, your guest is going to see. I also like to take out just a tiny little section right in the front. So that way, when I'm weaving, it only shows a shadow of that highlight right in the hairline when she goes to pull it back. Because most naturalistas are going to be pulling their hair into like a tighter, slick back ponytail. I really don't want to make that difficult for someone to look at for like the first 2-3 weeks if I'm doing like a really heavy weave. Because then it's just gonna look really, really striking. So by having that little veil there, it helps to diffuse it a little bit more. Okay, so we're gonna pop in that first highlight. Now, the other thing that I don't worry about is most of the time you wanna make sure that your section is only as wide as the foil itself. But because we're working on a curly girl that really isn't worried about getting this right to the scalp, it's okay to over direct those corners and have those a little further away. So I'm just going in with the corner of my brush just to tap a little bit closer. But as I said, with this one, you can go very close to the edge because it doesn't swell. So you don't have to worry about those bleed marks pushing over the foil line. Which I have watched hairdressers that they can work in basically all white. I used to watch a guy named Floyd Kenyatta. He was like the granddaddy of textured hair for Paul Mitchell back in the day. Okay, so if you need to, go ahead and clip that out of the way. Just make sure that you're not grabbing onto your foil because you don't want to pinch that. So when you're clipping a piece away, just go right over the foil and connect that to the rest of the hair. Now in the back, seeing as how that's actually a lot thicker and denser than the front section, back here I actually like to just take out a tiny bit of hair. So I'm not doing an even weave the same way that I did up front. This one I'm only dropping out maybe about 3 little sections. Effectively, it almost looks more like a weave. I'm sorry, not a weave, a slice. So again, going in with the corner of my brush so that I can just tap that close to the hairline, but not right up. Now, some people, they have like a really long kind of nape area in the back. So you might have to take that in 2 sections, and that's fine. So for me, I always say that any technique that you're using, learn it, master it, but also play with it. and the bottom of it, that's where I get that line of demarcation. Where it's just giving it that light little petting over the top and then massaging that mid shaft, that's where I'm getting the saturation from just about the midpoint to the end. And then everything that's up here, that's over the middle point, that's just gonna get a application. So we have our hand painted sections that out here on the perimeter. I have them just laying over those little triangle sections, so they're not touching any other hair. And like I said, this is a lightener that does not expand, so you don't really have to worry about it bleeding onto another section. Everything that is inside of the foils that I did first, it's being incubated, so that's gonna come up a little lighter. Everything you see in this nice little lovely pinhead ponytail here is just going to be untouched, and that was simply just to get it out of the way, and that I won't be using extra product, because if anything, I would rather not use, like as much foil or as much body wrap. So if I can leave something on its own, then I do. But again, totally up to you and whatever your preference is. And so that hair technique and coloring technique leads to this lovely, very high contrast, very popped, just lovely metallic kind of highlight. Now what I used to tone with was Paul Mitchell Crema 8NB with 10 volume. Again, I just prefer the cream. It has a lot of really nice emollients and different things like that just help to condition the hair. So you always want to make sure that it's leaving the hair in the best state that it can be. So that was another reason that I chose Crema, because it's just ultra conditioning and it's a demi-permanent. That's our lesson for today, and I hope I helped out. And if there's any questions, hit me up. My Instagram is at the hands downs.
Oh, yeah,
I try to answer
on the thing real quick. Keep going.
And I try to answer any questions that are on there. Become friends. Let's talk hair. Share whatever you're doing. With hair.
Hello. Good morning, good evening, good day, good whatever time it is, wherever you are, whenever you're choosing to watch this. Hello. My name's Brian Hare, and I've made an executive decision for us. For as long as possible, I'm gonna keep coloring the same mannequin. So this was our beautiful foil model from last week. She loves her highlights, but now she wants to try something a little bit more. She wants to add a little more to this, another layer. This pretty much looks like, this is how people come in. They're air dried and they're like, sorry, I didn't wash my hair for a week. I was getting my hair done. That's her today. She does still have her center part. That is not because of pressure from Gen Z. It's just because that's where her hair falls. So don't get that twisted. I am going to do the same thing. On one side, I'm going to show you my stripes. On one side, I'm going to show you my V's. But first and foremost, I'm going to show you my consistency. I didn't mix it up yet because consistency is something that is super, super important. I am using Skylights from Paul Mitchell. So this is a clay-based lightener that's made for balayage. Now, what that means, the whole clay base, what you're expecting from that, if you're using a clay base, you need to understand that in your application, you need to go a little bit heavier with, well, I'll show you. Clay base means like it's gonna harden on the outside somewhat, creating a little bit of an environment for the highlight to lift. Doing balayage, you had to be very, very careful and cautious because wherever you painted it, lightener does like to puff up a little bit and you didn't want it touching hair that you weren't intending for it to touch. Because back, when I got this whole started, there was nothing to put in between your sections, just like I'm not gonna use today because I want you to see everything. Personally, when I'm using clay lightener for my balayage, which is typically all I use anymore, now that I don't have to use a regular lightener, I like a nice thick consistency. I like to think of it like, I don't want to say spackle because that's too thick. I actually just used spackle recently and that's way too thick. I like toothpaste, maybe. Like that nice toothpaste that you've gotten wet, that you're about to brush your teeth with. That few seconds that toothpaste before it becomes foam, that's what I like to see. I'll show you in my bowl here. Notice I'm using a little rubber spatula. It was just a trick that I got from Lacey Worley years ago that I absolutely loved. It does the lightener more so than aerate like a whisk does. In my mind, it just comes out such a great consistency. Plus it helps conserve. So like you're not wasting a ton because I am able to scrape everything off the side of the bowl and get my nice little toothpaste consistency. So you see nothing's coming out. Good, we're in there. I like this consistency because it's gonna stick to the hair as I apply it, but be thick enough that it's gonna give me a really nice placement today. But I like to do my balayage off of whatever part they come in with because generally that means that's how they're gonna wear their hair because they At least did that day. You all know by now I'm a huge Money Piece fan. I like to go off their part and really just hit that hard. So with a lot of clay lighteners, when you mix it up momentarily, then it's gonna get a little bit stiffer. So keep that in mind because I want it stiff, but I do need it still workable. If it's too thick, then it's not doing us any favors. So I've got my paddle, give myself some to work on. Working with a tool like this is great because it does help for moving quickly, just keeps lightener right there so I can just keep working. Grab some and go, rather than chasing a bowl around, every time I need to apply more. For starters, we're just gonna start on some nice bands just to show you my application. One thing that I see happen a lot is that people think that balayage application is smashing color into your section. The way that I like to word it, just to get a better visual of what you're planning on, I want the hair to take the lightener off my brush. I'm not pressing, I'm just getting close enough for the color to come off. Think of it like the bristles shouldn't even touch the hair. I'm just gonna grab some hair, grab myself a little section. When you're deciding how big of a little section to grab, that's gonna be based off of one, how you want it to look, but two, also the density. Like if they have a lower density of hair and you grab a small little chunk like this, but you're able to see through it, your balayage might get a little spotty. You decide exactly where this is gonna go. For the control freaks out there like me, this is a really great method of doing highlights. I'm applying it, watching to make sure that anytime you get these little jump skips that happen a lot on highlights with mannequins, just take that off, no big. And then just come down with the hair, follow wherever you're holding with your fingers, and then I use the other side of my little paddle. Keep in mind, this is where you make your decisions on how you want this to turn out. If you're looking for lighter ends just all over throughout, then as you come down to the bottom, what I'll do is I'll spread out the section a little bit with my brush and make sure that I've got lightener applied on top, underneath, throughout. So now this highlight is gonna go from being applied on top as it comes down, now it's saturating the full ends. So think about what that's going to look like when it's done, and then you go, that's gonna look good, I like that. And then I'll use my little brush. When you are applying balayage, do not forget that eventually you're gonna be up towards the top of the head and you're gonna have highlights down low, and this is out in the open. It's not in a foil. You need to be careful because you put all this thought into how this is gonna come out. You applied this so that it's gonna look gorgeous. The last thing you wanna do is smash hair on top of that highlight, because if it touches it, it's gonna start bleaching and it's gonna turn weird because it's unintentional. That's where elevation comes in. I like to get everything elevated as straight off the head 90 as you can from where it lives. Not 90 like always 90, 90 from where it's coming out of the head, straight off. So what that's gonna do, as I apply my lightener onto this section, when I let it go, it's gonna hold together and it's gonna cause that section to buckle a little bit so that it won't press down on the section beneath. We'll do another one just to show you what I'm talking about. See, a little kiss. It happens. It's going to happen every single time. You just gotta keep an eye out, be aware of what you're doing. You can't really check out while you're doing this because you're designing something that's working on this person's haircut. So again, got that nice straight out elevation that lets it gently lay down. And that way, if there's a highlight underneath, it's not smashing against it. When you're creating this type of look, because now we are going to be saturating the ends, I'm gonna be applying a highlight on one edge, I'm gonna be applying a highlight on the other edge, and then they're gonna come together and lighten through the ends of the hair. You need to take into consideration is where you're gonna hold the hair, where you're gonna pinch, because wherever you've got your pinch, from there through the ends is gonna be your lightness. If you're looking to make their hair super light, then you're gonna pinch closer to the root. You want a little bit more of their root color to show, then you're gonna wanna slide down the section a little bit, because then this is where the two blonde highlights will converge and then create light ends. Also keep in mind, if that's what you're going for, maybe considering a different application, because coming all the way down here leaves you a very bouncy section. And like the bouncier this is, the more chance there is for things to get wild. I'm gonna come about halfway, get my little dome going. I like it. And then just let the hair take it. Work up towards the root a little bit, clean up after myself. Along each edge of the section, same principles as before, now we're just doubling it up. So where these two blonde lines come together, make sure that you've got buku lightener on top, because we're about to spread open this section. and get all that hair in between. So I'll use my brush to transfer it over to my little paddle, and then I just kind of just lightly spread it. If you bust it apart, then you're gonna be screwing all this up, but I just lightly spread it so that I know that I'm getting in there, and then just give it that nice same saturation that you were giving the rest of the highlight. As I'm slowly dragging it through, I can feel it picking up highlight from underneath as well. Don't skimp, do it right. And I'll just check. Yeah, I'm good. We're pretty saturated. I don't know. You're gonna switch me to, I almost got it. I got this. And then I check, hold on, I'll do it this way. So you can see that underneath, using the corner of the paddle kept it from being a harsh line. So now underneath, it's also going to diffuse and lighten as it gets through to the end. I have never seen a balayage video do that, so you are welcome. That's a good question because it happens a lot on mannequins and it actually happens a lot on people. So I'll show you, I have a section right here. I'll kind of show you like what question is addressing is the fact that sometimes when you're working, when you go to move up, it's gonna grab some hair. It's gonna grab some hair and then that just, when that happens, things start getting real messy real fast. So my advice, if you see that they've got hair, whether it's the haircut or what, that's starting to grab, don't go up because that just sucks. If they've got the kind of hair that's grabby, then push it back into the section by just following through on your sweep. Apply, we've grabbed some hair, no. Just smooth it back out into the section. Smooth it back out. Because, oh, I forgot to say that. Balayage is French for sweeping. So just remember that, just sweeping. And then when you pick it up, it goes right back down to where it's supposed to be, and then you can go right back to work. Great question, because I hate when that happens. You wanna see the lasagna? Put the noodles away, it's time for lasagna. So now you can see a little bit of what I was saying. Oops, nope, this side was my V's. So over here where I did the V's, you see the hair travels from the dark into just pretty light through the ends. And then over here where I just did the bands, it's much more of a traditional highlighted look because it's got her base color worked in even all the way through the ends. So thank you guys so very much. I will see you next week.
Let's get started. If you take a look at the hair right here, it's super weak, right? If she had thicker hair, it might not be as weak. I'm gonna bring this up and make it nice and strong. Also want it to be just below or just at the shoulder for this haircut. That's where we're gonna aim. Now I'm gonna bring her head flat. I'm gonna draw a straight down center back vertical line. And again, we're gonna move the occipital bone over with a slightly diagonal forward parting. Comb the rest of the hair over nice and tight, and then I slide my clip, the YS part clip, slide it up underneath and clip it together. That holds this entire section nice and tight to the head. That keeps everything out of the way, keeps me nice and organized. Now I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side, keeping my eyes square with the section. So as I look at this, I'm keeping my eyes parallel to what I'm sectioning so that way I can see exactly what line I'm trying to create with my parting so that I can get a nice balanced line. Now see, I hold this with tension just like I would if I was gonna cut it, and then I slide my clip up underneath and clip the hair away. Or near where I'm from, near. Take about a 2-inch section straight down the center back. And you could cut this up against the cape if you wanted to. If my client had a back, I would do that, but I'm gonna hold it in my fingers for now. Start working this line straight, square in the back. So a nice balanced line across. Shouldn't be too much over direction, but there will be a slight bit. So like as you take a look at what I'm cutting on the side here, and I'm cutting a straight line straight across in the back. Look at that over direction that comes from that corner. So that's gonna push just a little bit of weight, a little bit of length towards the front. That's totally okay, just be aware of it. That'll give me a little extra length in the back. If you didn't want, or in the front, if you didn't want that extra length, then all you have to do is just round this section across. So then once you get that line cut, you can check your balance back. And now I've got a nice full feeling in the back of the head. If she had super thick hair, you could always layer into this a little bit to create a little bit lighter shape. But for me personally, I like cutting this one length, then I'll layer into this part of the haircut. I'm gonna go in and do some condensed cutting on the head shape here. So I'm gonna take my clip out. Now, this is where everybody comes in and they say, well, how do you find your guy? So I'm gonna comb the hair up like this. I'm gonna try to keep my finger basically parallel to this parting. And then I'm gonna cut across. Let me see if I can do this without getting in your guys' way. Like that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side. This will all come up. I'm gonna bring some of the other side up as well. You're combing it up over top of the parting and parallel. And now what I'll do is once I comb that hair down, I'm gonna check 2 pieces, make sure that they kind of match up, cutting off some of this disconnect that happened at the bottom. Our initial guide at the bottom, but that's why we cut that guide. We cut it nice and full. So cutting this hair here is just gonna make that line even more blunt. It's so much better than tying in the layers to the bottom, just layering it up, because it keeps that fullness on the bottom. So, check that out. You can see, look at these layers and how they play out in the haircut. As I come through here, I would just nice center parting here. Section this off, and this doesn't have to be perfect, this sectioning, because we're really just gonna debulk a little bit. You know, you don't want it to be crazy, but it doesn't have to be perfect. Then I grab my texturizing scissor. This is where the OGs in the room can give me a little help, but all of these tools that I'm showing you guys, these scissors, this is my scissor created by Mizutani Scissors. This is a Mizutani Acro Leaf Wide. It's a dry cutting texturizing scissor. You can also use it on slightly damp, wet hair. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go in at an angle like this, and then I'm gonna go in at an angle like this as I go in to cut. And this is basically what I'm gonna do. Slide through, just like that. That removes some of that bulk. And then I'm gonna do the same thing on the opposite side at the same angle. So pop through. You can see it just glides right through the hair. So then I'll take a look, see that thickness that I want. And if I want to just take a little bit more, no problem. And then I flip the scissor around and I go the opposite direction. So just debulks it. So if you have fine hair, go the first route. If you have thick hair, do the second one and just take out some of that bulk. And we're gonna move into the side of the haircut. I'm gonna start on the thicker side, the heavier side, which is our right-hand side here. I'm gonna let that out. And I'm just gonna start working the hair in the direction I'm gonna take the partings. What's up, Kim? Shout out to Detroit, Michigan. Now take a horizontal parting across this. I'm gonna clip it away. So now I want to connect these 2 points. So I've got my longer point from the balanced line that we cut in the back. We're gonna connect these 2 things together. I'm actually wondering if that person was even talking to me. I might have been talking to other people bickering. Hence, I should just keep my mouth quiet. Working through, horizontal line across, and then come down and cut. And then go from there. So bringing everything down, cutting my line. Go. And I got my last little bit. And I'm mostly focused on the side. So when you look at the front of this haircut now, I want to take and come down to the hairline because all of this hair wants to fall basically into the front. So comb that forward. That doesn't need to be involved in anything that I'm cutting right now. I'll clip that away. And then this is all the hair that's gonna fall into the side. So we've got our fringe area, which goes to the hairline here. And then we've got all this hair that wants to fall to the side. I'm gonna cut that first. Then I'll go in, cut the fringe later. I'll bring this hair down, continuing with my line. Now we're gonna do the same thing on the weak side, and then we'll go into our fringe. If I get this organized, guys, I will show you. Clip that fringe away. I've got the weak side. It's all dried up. H2O. Now I'm going to comb everything over. And again, take horizontal partings. Put the rest away. And now I'm going to draw that diagonal, slight diagonal forward line into Make sure that they are balanced up, then move forward with the rest. You don't want to cut this whole section and then have this one just a little bit longer, and then you got to go back in and recut it. That'll save you a lot of time just checking it right off the bat. So here again, see your guide through it. That's the basis of the entire haircut, but then what we're going to do is now we're going to go in and fine tune some different areas. So comb this fringe over. I'm going to bring out my trusty tri-razor. I want to talk about this for a second because I'm super proud of this tool. This is our tool that we created. We are patent pending with our design patent. This is a 3-in-1 razor cutting tool. So there's removable blades so you can change them out, make sure that they're nice and sharp. So let me go here, show you guys, kind of pop this open. You can see blades inside. Obviously I haven't changed these. Razors, 3 different razors inside you have, and then you just pop this back on and then put the top on to the razor and you're good to go. So you got 100% cutting of the hair. So if you want to cut lines in the hair right there, then you've got your 50% texturizing side, so it'll take out 50% of the hair, and then you have a 25% texture side. You know, this tool is super popular. We're selling it all over the world. If you want to pick it up, go to Shop FSE. I'm going to show you guys how easy it is to detail the entire front of this haircut to create a really cool look. First things first, you can draw right in to underneath the chins. Instead of pulling this out with a scissor, cutting it, and then hoping it falls in the right place, I can literally just comb the hair down like this and then take my 100% cutting side and come right in here and just softly cut into the face frame, which will create little pieces right underneath the chin, which is all I really need. Now I'm going to take this entire triangle section. This is one thing I love about the tri-razor. You don't have to break up your sections too much. It cuts through like a hot knife through butter. So basically, pull this section over to me. The tri-razor blades are really firm, so they're not flimsy at all. So when you go in to cut, there's no give. So it just cuts right through the hair. Unlike some other razors that have like a softer blade to them. So they last longer and you cut more hair at once. So I'm going to go through here and I just want to kind of glide through this bang. So I bring everything over to me and then I just come right through here and then I cut a soft line. The more I move back and forth, the softer this bang will be. Do I want a hard line or do I want a soft line? I'm going to go kind of medium in here, cut through it. Now, as it comes down, you can see the angle that we create. So then as this is combed over, it's going to be a nice soft side bang. And then we've just got this little bit left on the bottom. So then I come over to this part of the haircut here and I'm going to softly, again, underneath the chin, just carve some of those pieces. Create that pieciness right there. And then in the sides, again, go in with that 25 texture side. Angle the tri-razor back. So I just come in here and I slide in and just remove 25%.
Hey beauties, it's Viviana and today I'm jumping on the bandwagon. So, for the past few weeks there has been a trend going around where YouTubers try to follow other YouTubers' makeup tutorial. But I don't do makeup tutorials, and even if I was supposed to try to do someone else's makeup tutorial, I wouldn't have half the products. And that's when I thought, why not try to do another YouTuber's hair tutorial? I know, it's practically an original idea now. So quite a few persons came readily to my mind, but then I decided to type into the YouTube search bar, hair tutorial. And of course it gave me like the extension, you know, like the prediction kind of thing. And I saw for short hair. I'm like, okay YouTube, hair tutorials for short hair. Because, you know, I have short hair. So I clicked on for short hair. A very interesting list came up. Well, duh, Viviana, you never type in hair tutorial for short, natural hair. Silly me. And I was about to redefine my search options, but I decided this would be a little more interesting. and fun. Interesting and fun. So from my top results from YouTube, I have decided to follow a hair tutorial from Laura Lee. So, I know what you're thinking. Her hair's longer than mine. I saw it too, but in the video, she's actually doing her niece's hair, and her niece has about the same length hair as I do. Kinda. My hair is a little longer when stretched. And the title of the video is 15 heatless hairstyles for short hair. I'll have the video listed below. I'm not gonna do all 15 styles, okay? No. However, I'll go through a few, maybe do about 3 or 4, depending on how easy they are to do, and they should be fun.
I have a guest star today. This is my 12-year-old niece, Erin. She's warming up to the camera. Warm her up! Warm her up! Before you leave, be sure to subscribe! Yay! Subscribe to my channel. Click the button down below. Hey, finish these other sentences. See? We're already finishing each other's sentences.
Subscribe, guys. Laura Lee said it.
You got lipstick. Get off. You love
I'm being
me.
a girl. You like
Get it. Can you get it? Rub your finger. Say, okay. Okay. So we really hope you do enjoy them. I think it's awesome because with short hair, you feel like you're limited, but you're really not limited on hairstyles.
Trust me, I have a lot of tutorials on my short hair, and you're not limited at all, okay?
Because long hair is just too much to work with. Jumping right in our first tutorial, I'm going to put the hair in 2 low pigtails, just part the hair down the center, and then put it in 2 pigtails, and then I'm going to spray it with some texturizing spray and tease each bun. Next, I'm going to wrap each pigtail around in a circle and take a small elastic and just tie it around twice, and you have a low space bun. So cute. I do the exact same thing to the other side, obviously. And then you can bobby pin any hairs that shoot out, or if the buns hang low, you can pin them up tight like I'm doing this one. And this really works great for short hair.
Okay, so this was my first little cute space bun. I gathered all my hair and I twirled it around the pigtail. What she call it?
Each pigtail.
And I know this isn't my tutorial or anything, but I'm going to show you a variation to the bun to the other side for persons with a little thicker head of hair. So instead of taking all my hair and trying to wrap it all around my pigtail, I am going to take my pigtail and I'm going to open up the center. Then I'm going to part a section of my opened pigtail and then wrap it around the pigtail. And instead of using elastic bands, I'm going to use a scrunchie so that it doesn't tear or break my hair. Okay, and this is my other space bun. I'm not used to calling them space buns. I'm Jamaican, we just call them bun. But yeah, first style complete. And here you were thinking this tutorial would be strange or awkward.
Our next hairstyle is a super elegant one and I love it. I part the hair down the middle and twist it and just pin it with like 2 bobby pins, and then I do the same thing to the other side. From the right side I twist it and then I bring it over to the left side, and then I just apply 2 bobby pins, and then you have like 2 pieces of hair hanging off each side. So what you're going to do is start tucking those hairs in randomly and pinning them. You just twist them and push them in and bobby pin them, and then it turns out to be a really nice elegant look. You just kind of play with it and make it your own, but this will be great for a wedding or bridesmaid hair, especially for short hair. Hey.
So, I don't know if it's because her niece's head is smaller than mine or because my hair is a lot thicker than hers, but my twists were not crossing over as smoothly as hers was. And I can't think of any other reason because 2 of us hair short. I mean, I wouldn't quite say it was a wedding or a bridesmaid kind of style, but it can work.
Okay, this next hairstyle is a little less involved. All you take is 2 pieces of hair from the sides of the head and you do them in a regular braid, a fish braid, whatever type of braid you want to do, and then you bobby pin them back, and it gives you a nice pretty look, and it literally took me 2 minutes to do this look.
My hair is in a wash and go right now, but I imagine this style looking really nice with a twist out or a braid out or a satin braid out.
Our next hairstyle is a creative one. I just take the top of the hair and put it in a little bun, flopping the end pieces over on top of the forehead. And then I'm going to be making faux bangs. How cute! And you don't have to commit to real bangs.
Okay, all right. I'm really here contemplating whether or not to even try this one. You know what? I don't see texture. I don't see texture. I don't see texture.
So then I pin the pieces shooting off to the side and it secures the bangs. I got this little headband at Forever 21.
I got my bandana from the wholesale.
And then just pin the headband to the hair and it's just like bangs for the day. But you don't have to commit. Isn't it wonderful?
Well, damn. I really wasn't expecting this one to work out. Okay, nice one, Laura. Nice one.
Our next hairstyle, we're going to put the hair on a high ponytail on top of the head, and I'll show you how we take care of those hairs. They're going to fall down in the back if you have short hair. Next, I'm going to take my Way texturizing spray. I obviously love this stuff. And then I tease the crap out of the hair. Just go crazy, get wild, get stupid. Okay, then I take the back pieces of hair and pin them.
Okay, so this style is pretty much just a simple high bun, and because her hair does not have a lot of texture in it, the back tends to fall down, but I don't really got that problem, okay? I got texture. But for me to create a high bun, I would need to detangle my hair and gel it down, and I don't want to go through all of that and totally ruin my wash and go. But I do have a high puff tutorial, so if you want to go check that out, I'll leave it up in the iCards. You should go check it out, I'm just saying.
This one's a little bit easier. I took the hair and I put it halfway up and then I tease the back of it. Teasing hair just gives it a little more texture and it's a little bit easier to work with. And then I put it in a half bun and then I take a little piece of hair hanging off the bun and wrap it around the rubber band just to clean it up a little bit, and literally that is it. Just easy 2-second hairstyle and it's so cute for short hair. I love it.
So my bun ended up a little higher up on my head and not quite as messy, but still a nice style for short hair.
For our next one, I had to bring the sister back in because she is like the queen of braids. Okay, let me stop singing. So what she's doing is Dutch braiding the hair to the top of the head. You can French braid it to the top of the head, Dutch braid it to the top of the head, regular braided, whatever your heart's desire. As you can see, my niece is so not enthused.
So looking at her braiding technique, her sister's braiding technique, it's a lot different from the braiding technique I know. She's literally plaiting the hair, then she's adding another section below it and plaiting the hair. When I am braiding, I kind of plait the hair while moving down on the scalp. It's different, okay? But hey, it looks like a braid. I guess it is a braid. So to get my neatest braid, I would normally detangle my hair before starting my cornrow. But since I don't want to totally frizz out my hair, I am going to try to cornrow it without detangling it first.
But before she got to the end, she just braided the hair all the way down and then we secured it with rubber bands. So there's like a little tail. And then I gathered a little bit of her other hair with it and created a bun. And then I just secured it with a goodies elastic and pulled it through kind of like a top knot. How beautiful is this hairstyle? And it really didn't take too long. For our next one, it plays off the last one as well. Her hair's still French braided in the middle and we just put it in a half up, half down do. And then I put a rubber band around the piece hanging off. And then I gathered the rest of the hair and tie it all together. This is going to give kind of sort of like a Princess Jasmine vibe. And then to clean it up, I just take a piece of hair and wrap it around the rubber band.
So I don't think I'm getting a Princess Jasmine look, but I really think this hairstyle looks nice.
So I think I'm a hairstyle inventor now.
From one hairstyle inventor to the next, this hairstyle is cute.
For our next one, we're going to give like the illusion that half of her head is shaved. I mean, I don't know. That's kind of what I think it looks like. My sister's just French braiding the hair to the side of the head.
Okay, I see where this style is going. And I already have a tutorial similar to that where, you know, it looks like the side of my head is shaved. And then with this side, I did a twist out. It was really cute, okay? If you haven't seen it, I'll be sure to have it linked up in the iCard. So, you know, after watching this video, you can check it out.
So for our last hairstyle, I take the hair on top of the head and I secure it with a rubber band. By the way, this is our last hairstyle. Hello, 15 hairstyles. My poor niece's head, she was so over it. Comment boogie woogie if you're here till the end of the video.
How about you comment woogie boogie if you made it this far into the tutorial? Is this even considered a tutorial?
So what I'm going to do is flip the hair through the ponytail, creating a topsy tail, what we called in the 90s.
My finger lost. Okay, there it is. There it is. There's my finger. You see it? Ah. Okay, this looked a lot easier than it is right now. Ah. Okay, I got 2 fingers in. Now, that just sounded really weird. Okay, inappropriate. Okay. Alright, so I'm gonna pull. Shit! Wait, hold on. This topsy tail is fighting me. Okay, probably I should pull the elastic looser. I don't know what I'm doing. Shit! Ow! 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 Okay. Fuck. This is the last hairstyle. Pull it together. Put it together, Viv. Been doing well so far. Okay, so it's easier with less hair.
So then I take the second section of hair and include that ponytail that was hanging down, and I do the exact same thing. I just flip it through and it creates a knot-like illusion, and it is so cute. You can also finish it and secure it off, but I left it like this and I thought it was just adorable.
And I am not liking this hole at the front of my head from the topsy turn. That gave me so much problem. So I'm going to add a gold bow and hopefully this. Okay beauties, we're at the end of the video. Remember to comment woogie boogie if you made it this far. And yeah, I had a lot of fun with this one. Like, really, I did. Okay beauties, if you're new to my channel and you have not decided from this one video that you want to subscribe, alright, me not rush you too much. I'll leave some more of my videos up in the iCards so you can watch maybe a 1 or 2 more of my videos, and then I will hope by then you would have decided that you want to subscribe. Cause I mean, if you sit down and watch 1 or 2 or 3 of my videos, it means you have seen something here that you like. So you should just subscribe so you can come back for more. I mean, it's just simple logics. Okay beauties, thanks again for watching. Later! Mwah.
My section for that little mohawk is gonna come back just to the back crown, get that round because of how the sectioning is going to work. I do like to follow the shape of the head, keeping a pretty consistent rectangle here because it just makes for cleaner working. Is that looking all right? Am I in the way? You work with nice clean parting, it's going to make your life so much easier down the road because we are going to be starting at the top and then working down. So if you work neat, you're not going to be pushing a whole bunch of messy stuff out of the way. So silky. Towards the, right about the corner of my rectangle from the top, I'm going to take that to directly behind the ear, creating a nice panel to work with. It's the side of her head. Just take that out of my way. And then to finish that off, I'm just going to divide this last back section just right in half. And this sets you up really for many different color and lightening techniques because this really does section out three pretty important areas that you have to work with. Because the hair along the part typically is going to want to be a little bit lighter. It's going to be a little bit easier to get lighter, and you're going to need to be putting a lot of focus on that. Your hair through the sides of the head, you might want to treat a different way, just because whatever look you're going for. So we've got her sectioned off up top, again, where we're going to be doing the tease highlighting. Sides will be weaves, and the back will be slices. I like to work, I'm going to be standing in front of her, so which one do you want me to stand at? So I destroy these. So real quick, right up front on this front hairline, on a regular hairline, it's going to give a little bit more, but you guys get the idea. I like to do weaves along the hairline because it gives it a nice bold pop without so much of a harsh line. So I'll just, grab some random, going a little heavy on it, because chances are if they're already your color client, there's already some lightness through here. That's why this is sort of refreshing at the same time as creating. Just come on in. Get it nice and tight if that's the look you're going for. The one part of the head that I really try to focus on a real client of making sure I get as close as I can is this money piece, because that's what makes it pop so much. That's what makes that explosion around the face that everyone notices, because it's great. You want it to look good all over because, you're providing a service and this is your work, but it's that stuff around the face that they're gonna stare at, that they're gonna notice right off the bat. Okay, so we've got our little money piece working. We're good. Now, for the rest of this mohawk, I'm gonna go through, I'm gonna take slightly thicker sections and we're gonna do tease highlights. So the whole point of a teased highlight is to get energy of a foil with the softness of balayage or an ombre so much. You're not gonna get close to the root, so it's obviously not something that maybe you wanna do on everybody. For what we're doing here, it's pretty perfect. So I'm gonna do a little bit fatter of a weave, you can see. Decently thick, and then just some light teasing. I'm holding on, not real tight, because more so than creating a nest at the root, I'm trying to see that I'm breaking up where the ends of the hair are, because I don't have it super tight with the tease, so there's ends all over here. I'm gonna highlight to about there, and what that's gonna do, that's going to avoid a line altogether. Think about where that's hitting on all that different hair. And then just to add a little bit more softness, I'll turn my brush, just have more of like a feathered technique up at the top there. Make sure you get a good saturation. I lock it up.
And then Christos is saying how much space do you have between your sections?
Here I'm doing, I don't know, maybe ½ inch in between. It's really going to be dictated by how much you want this curtain up top to have lightness going throughout. I'm gonna get that out of my way. So in moving into these side panels, this hair is gonna come, for this type of haircut, it's gonna come down, it's gonna go back, it needs to look good in many different directions. I am gonna follow the hairline, and I'm gonna do a really light weave first, because a lot of people, even on a look like this that does look a little more lived in, do still want it to show when they pull their hair back. I do like to do just a little guy, a little itsy bitsy along the hairline. I'll just grab like small little baby lights. Small baby. It's cute. And then I'll just leave that as an actual weave. I won't tease it or anything. Do you want me to do both sides or just go into the back after this? So we get that cute little weave in there. But then once we go beyond the hairline and we get into the meat of the side section, I do like giving it a little bit more of a pop. Because we're doing a weave, it's not going to explode like a slice would, but I do want to start seeing some bands running through the hair because we are trying to marry this new look with if she's got old blonde on her ends. I like to follow my section angle, that with the hairline, because that makes it fine if the hair comes forward, fine if the hair goes back, and it gives it enough of a diagonal to diffuse it as it comes down. Again, just a nice little weave. I like to change up, some thicker, some little. You can do Morse code in their hair if you want with dots and dashes, whatever makes you happy. And also makes them happy, because let's not forget, kind of what they're paying for. I'm a big fan of Olaplex. Ever since it came out, I've seen really amazing things. I've been able to do really amazing things. I'd say not stress as much, but let's be honest, like, we're all just stressing all the time. But it's nice that my stress is for nothing when I use Olaplex, and the hair feels great afterwards. It has a nice shine. So back here, typically the hair is more dense, it is darker, it doesn't see the light as much. You can get in there a little bit. Back here is where I like to do full-on slices because this is what's going to fall around, like around the face, but like around the neck. That heavy shadow that comes from back here. Nice pops of highlights here will just help to break that up a little bit, just make it explode a little bit more when they look in. I am going to start a fine, everything I just said, hold on to that, but forget it for a moment, because I'm going to start with a fine weave on the hairline, just for pulling it up out of your, like when she pulls her hair up's sake. Anytime I'm doing anything along the hairline, I like to do a fine weave, just because it makes it a little bit softer. So again, whatever your little heart desires. As far as how much.
So here's a question. Janine is saying, would you say this technique would have an age group, or would you use it for mature clients?
I have been using this on anybody because it's not so much of a TikTok trend as it is just a technique for making someone's hair look nice. Like it's not, I don't feel like this plays into any trend too hard that would ice anybody out that may want it. That make sense?
Yeah.
So if you want it more subtle, if somebody, mature doesn't want a crazy explosion of blonde, then you just change it up a little bit. Maybe do a little smaller of a money piece. Don't be afraid to reference Jen Aniston. Everyone of every age wants to look like her. I'm mirroring the hairline as far as I like diagonals because they blend, and you want a little bit of blending to happen when you're using something more severe, like a full-on slice. Again, don't go crazy thick. If you want more blonde, do more thin slices. And then I'll use this piece, because it's the last one you put in. This will be what I check to make sure everything is done. So when you're checking the money pieces, and you're like, okay, they're good, but they're not going to fry off if I give everything another minute or two, I'll come back to this foil and look at it and be like, ooh, yeah, no. Or look at it and go, ooh, yeah, perfect. Because if this piece is good, then everything underneath it's going to be even better because that's got the added incubation of being surrounded by other foils and other hair. So if you look at this and you're like, yeah, that's where I want it, then you know that everything down here is going to be A-okay because this all gets a little bit warmer. So that's exciting. We put the noodles in the oven, and then we have lasagna. I processed it and toned it in those few seconds.
What toner did you use on
and
that?
curled it. Actually, I didn't tone this
You
one.
didn't tone it?
Yeah, it was just technique because I have a demi over the whole base, and I was afraid if I toned it, it would lift that off. But, again, all right, there. So now that you've seen where I put it in, you've got money in the front, and then these diffused highlights back here. That's what the teasing does, is it makes it so that there's not a harsh line, but there is a highlight here. And you'll see it just picks up nicely, but diffuses itself. And then when you come into the sides, we've got a little, let me just adjust. As you come into the sides, you've got your highlights in here, you've got your slices that definitely show up. They're definitely in there. But when the hair is down, it's nothing too extreme. It'll blend nicely. And then as you make it into the back, where you've got a bit stronger, where you've got your full slices, it holds its own up against the depth and dark of the back of the head. So how about them apples? Just give her a little all the way around. Worked hard on this. Look at it. Love it.
Thank you guys so much for joining us today, letting us be a part of your morning, and can't wait for the next one.